The story of Porsche is one of triumph, tragedy, innovation, and downfall. Ferdinand Porsche was born in 1875 in what is now the Czech Republic, and he showed a passion for electricity from a young age. After dropping out of school to work in his father's blacksmithing business, Porsche's interest in electricity grew, and he eventually enrolled in the Imperial Technical School of Reichenberg to study engineering. It was there that he developed the skills that would lead him to become one of the greatest engineers of all time. In 1893, Porsche began his career in the automotive industry when he landed a job at Bela Eger and Company, a manufacturer of electric machinery in Vienna. After rising through the ranks and becoming the man in charge, he left the company to work for Jacob Lohner and Company. There, he used his electric motor expertise to build the Porsche P1, the first car he ever designed. Although the car was fully electric and could only travel up to 21 miles per hour due to its heavy lead-acid batteries, it was meant for racing and testing. In 1900, Porsche added an internal combustion engine to the vehicle, creating the world's first gasoline-electric hybrid car, the Lohner Porsche Electromobile. This new vehicle set speed records and won various motorsports events. Porsche's innovative designs didn't stop there, as he went on to create groundbreaking vehicle designs for other car manufacturers before founding his own car company. However, Porsche's involvement in military projects for the Nazi regime eventually landed him in prison and cost him his life. Despite this tragedy, his legacy lived on through the company he founded and the luxury car brand known worldwide today as Porsche. In 1972, Ferdinand Porsche's vision extended beyond the automotive world, and he founded the exclusive lifestyle brand Porsche Design, which still embodies his philosophy and design language. According to historical records, Adolf Hitler did become the Chancellor of Germany in 1933. However, there is no evidence to support the claim that Hitler was particularly interested in automobiles or that he ever met with Porsche to discuss creating a car for the German people. While Porsche did design and build the Volkswagen Beetle, it was not at the request of Hitler to create an affordable and fuel-efficient car for all Germans. Rather, the Beetle was commissioned by the German Labor Front as a basic vehicle that could be mass-produced and sold at an affordable price to ordinary citizens. The Beetle was intended to symbolize the National Socialist regime's ability to provide for the needs of everyday Germans. Although the Beetle became a popular car with Germans, with 300,000 orders placed right after its launch, it was not the greatest achievement of Porsche's career up to that point. Before the Beetle, Porsche had designed and built several successful race cars and luxury vehicles, including the Type 64, which had many of the same design features as the Beetle. In 1939, Hitler's invasion of Poland marked the beginning of World War II, and production of the Beetle was halted as the Volkswagen factory began prioritizing war production. As one of the country's top engineers and a close friend of Hitler, Porsche became involved in developing off-road military vehicles and battle machinery, including the Schwimmwagen, military version of the Beetle, Elephant tank destroyer, and the V-1 flying bomb missile. Although Porsche was one of Hitler's favorite engineers for designing tanks, he was unable to meet Hitler's expectations for the Tiger heavy tank project. Porsche designed the Ferdinand, a hybrid tank that could run on petrol and electric transmissions, but its engines were too complicated and over-engineered, which led to many problems and eventually caused it to break down during trial. Porsche had built 100 chassis for the concept before submitting his prototype. To salvage his design, the Germans converted 90 Ferdinand heavy tanks into tank destroyers and renamed them as Elephant anti-tanks. While effective in battle, most of them broke down due to engine problems and mobility issues and were lost on the battlefield. Reports show that the Porsche company used slave laborers in their Stuttgart factory during the war. Although they initially denied these accusations, they later admitted their crimes after victims spoke out in the late 20th century about the forced labor conditions they experienced in Porsche's plants. Porsche, along with other companies, has since paid millions of euros in compensation to the victims of forced labor. Although it was common practice for German factories with large numbers of workers to use slave labor during the war, Porsche did not necessarily agree with Nazi ideology. He rarely raised his arm in the Hitler salute and often wore a baggy gray coat that stood out during marches. Additionally, he ignored the SS rank he received from the Nazi Party, as he was only interested in growing his business and supplying what the government needed at the time. Despite Porsche's contributions to the war efforts, the Porsche company suffered heavy losses during the war. After the war ended, Ferdinand Porsche was arrested and imprisoned by the French government for war crimes due to his SS membership and close relationship with Hitler. His only son, Ferry Porsche, took on the torch and led the Porsche brand in a new direction. Ferry inherited his father's love for machines and talent, and had already built various vehicles, including the Schwimmwagen, which means swimming car in German. This car was designed to operate on both land and water, and was a valuable asset to German soldiers during World War II. However, Ferry and his father were arrested and imprisoned for several months due to their involvement in the war effort. Ferry was eventually released, but only to raise money for his father's bail. He signed a contract with Italian car manufacturer Cis Italia to build the Cis Italia 360, an advanced vehicle for its time. Although the car was intended to compete in Grand Prix races, financial difficulties and changes in racing regulations prevented it from being raced. Nonetheless, Ferry was able to obtain his payment before the project was cancelled, allowing him to free his father from prison after 22 months of incarceration. After being released, Ferdinand's poor health prevented him from returning to work. As a result, the responsibility fell on Ferry to apply his father's concepts to their new company. After working for Cis Italia, Ferry realized that they were constructing small sports cars with Fiat engines and approached the managing director of Volkswagen to utilize their parts and distribution network. Ferry provided documentation that proved his father had developed the Volkswagen Beetle before the war, which convinced Volkswagen to pay a license fee to Porsche for every VW Beetle they produced. These negotiations demonstrated Ferry's abilities as both a skilled engineer and a brilliant businessman. Most importantly, these agreements with Volkswagen provided the Porsche company with the financial resources needed to experiment and develop their own vehicles. In 1948, Ferry introduced the first car that would bear the family name, the Porsche 356, powered by a Volkswagen air-cooled engine. Although it was not the most powerful or fastest car, Ferry continued to refine its design, eventually making it faster and smoother to drive. The vehicle was raced in Innsbruck, Austria, in the same year and won first place, laying the groundwork for Porsche's future success in the racing world. Although sales of the 356 were initially slow, car enthusiasts, including Ferry's father, who was very proud of his son, loved the car's design. Ferdinand Porsche visited the Volkswagen factory once more in 1950 and was delighted to see his vision for the Beetle finally realized. Shortly after Ferdinand's death in 1951 at the age of 75, sales of the Porsche 356 skyrocketed after winning a race at Le Mans. Soon after, new models such as the 356 Speedster and 356 Carrera were also offered to the public, capturing the hearts of many sports drivers and celebrities. However, while the 356 was a significant turning point in Porsche's history, it was still a variation of the Beetle with minor changes. Porsche's customers were growing weary of its body design and demanded a completely new vehicle that was still recognizable as the Porsche brand. One of Ferry's sons eventually stepped in and introduced a new vehicle that would take the Porsche brand to a whole new level. Alexander Porsche was born into a family of automotive experts. His father, Ferry Porsche, had founded Porsche AG and had become one of the most respected figures in the industry. Alexander shared his father's passion for cars but was more interested in design than engineering. He considered himself a gifted craftsman in shaping automobiles, and after receiving practical training from Porsche's body design department, he decided to embark on a new project. Alexander set out to design a new car that would revolutionize the automotive world. He wanted to create a vehicle that was not only fast, but also reliable, comfortable, and smooth to drive. His vision was the Porsche 911, one of the most iconic sports cars of modern history. The Porsche 911 was a masterpiece of engineering and design. Its six-cylinder boxer engine was more powerful than the four-cylinder from its predecessor, the Porsche 356. Its air-cooled engine in the rear improved the steering and acceleration of the vehicle, giving it an unmatched driving experience. The 911 quickly became Porsche's best-selling vehicle, with its unique style and driving experience capturing the hearts of car enthusiasts worldwide. Porsche continued to deliver what the people wanted, launching faster models with more powerful horsepower, such as the 911 Carrera S and 911 Turbo, which drove the company's annual sales to over 20,000 units by the 1970s. However, Porsche didn't stop there. The company expanded further into the racing world, debuting the 911 on the racetrack at the Monte Carlo Rally of 1965. The car performed admirably, earning a respectable fifth place. In the following years, Porsche improved its performance and went on to win almost every other motorsport event, such as the Targa Florio, the Paris-Dakar, the 24 Hours of Daytona, and numerous other rally and GT championships, becoming one of the most successful competition cars in history. Sadly, Ferry Porsche stepped down from his role at the company, and the family council decided to split the company's shares and leave someone else in charge. The family's involvement in the company came to an end, marking the end of an era. Despite this, Porsche continued to upgrade its vehicles, cementing itself as one of the leading sports car brands on the market. However, the company faced a dark time, and it had to make a drastic decision to survive. In the 1980s, Porsche faced a significant challenge due to a drop in the dollar exchange rate and increasing production costs. Their sales dropped dramatically from 46,000 units in 1986 to just 23,000 units in 1991, resulting in losses of 240 million Deutsche Marks. The situation worsened, and by 1993, they were selling only 14,000 units annually and struggling to keep their heads above water. In short, Porsche was on the verge of bankruptcy, and they needed to act quickly to save the company. In a bold move, Porsche decided to venture into the SUV market, which was booming at the time and had outpaced regular passenger cars in sales in America for the first time in 1999. The decision was met with criticism, as Porsche had always been associated with luxury sports cars, and building an SUV didn't seem to align with their brand image. To make matters worse, it was going to be the first Porsche car with 4 doors. Despite the initial backlash, Porsche introduced the Cayenne in 2002. The car became an instant success and went on to become Porsche's best-selling vehicle. The Cayenne retained Porsche's signature driving performance and reliability, while its luxurious interior and ample space made it an ideal family car. The Cayenne's sales proved to be a lifeline for the company and saved them from bankruptcy. Today, the Cayenne and the Macan account for over 70% of Porsche's sales in America and are considered the sportiest SUVs on the market. However, Porsche has not lost sight of their roots in sports cars. Their latest models, such as the Porsche Panamera and the fully electric Taycan, continue to be among the best-selling sports vehicles to date. Porsche is now a subsidiary of the Volkswagen Group and remains one of the most renowned luxury car brands worldwide. Despite the challenges they faced in the past, Porsche's innovative and daring approach allowed them to emerge from the brink of bankruptcy and remain a leader in the automotive industry. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. See you next time.